Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, I'm just going to kind of intro us. We are stressed a little bit.
I'm really nervous.
But, so I came up with this idea to kind of not really prepare, but to do it kind of like a live podcast episode. So we came up with questions to ask each other, like relating to the theme in our business. They're leading questions, but we don't know them. So we didn't
tell each other the question.
Yeah, so I'm just going to ask. It's just going to be like a casual conversation, and it's going to be great.
And then I guess we'll open up if you guys have questions about us and our business.
All right, well, I'm going to start.
Okay.
There's a question, but then I have like more words, so just listen for a second. Okay. Okay, so my first question is, what inspired you to start Handsy? And here's more words. I wrote, I'd love to hear about your original vision and more about like what was going on in your life and in your mind at the time. And then like the real kicker of the question is like, why did you invite me to join you? Because Handsy was like initially your dream and idea. So.
Whew, okay. So Suzy and I met in college. We went to DAP together in the graphic design program. So that's kind of how we met and leads to I graduated and then I got a job in graphic design at an agency. And I worked there for a year. I was like deeply, I don't want to say unhappy, but I was like, this is not it for me. And I just like spent a lot of time dreaming about doing my own thing. We both graduated with a focus on print design. So we are stationery lovers, and that was kind of like always in the back of my mind as a thing I wanted to do, like create greeting cards and art prints. And so I was working at LPK, and the people were amazing, but I was just like, this is not what I want to do. And I kind of started scheming, like, when I'm here for a year, I think I'm going to leave, and I'm going to try to do my own thing. And you asked, like, what was going on in my life at the time? Nothing. And that's why I was able to do that. Like, no kids, no mortgage, literally no risk. My now husband, I was like, hey, I'm gonna quit my job. Can you support me for a little bit while I try this thing? And he was like, yeah, of course. And I was like, great. Like I really had there was nothing holding me back. So basically I just kind of started dreaming. I was like, I wanna quit. I wanna start like a little studio and eventually have a shop. It was all just like big picture. Like, do you remember when you're young and you just like dream about stuff and you're like, I can totally do that. Like there was nothing in me was like, you can't do that.
That's great.
It was like totally free.
That's awesome.
I don't know, you had a lot of questions.
My last question was just like, what made you, like, you're like scheming and dreaming, and I'm like off in Minnesota. I was teaching canoeing, so like not doing design at all. So what were you like, you were like, how can I pull Suzy in? Or like, why were you thinking of?
I think, so we were in class together, and we often worked together, like not on projects together, but side by side. Always like very, and you might like notice this as we talk to each other, we're very in sync. And so we've always worked well together, like giving and receiving feedback, being like, is this weird? Yes. Is this weird? No. Like it's always been very smooth and like honest.
Yeah.
And so I think I just knew we worked well together. And I also knew you, obviously we're not like dreaming of an agency job.
Right, like I wasn't like trying to come home and like make a portfolio.
So it was probably it was just like, do you want to join me? I don't honestly remember.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like really casual. You're like, hey, I'm gonna quit. Like, I'm gonna do this. Do you want to do it? I was like, yeah, whatever. I also had nothing going on because my job was seasonal, so I was just working at REI. So I was like, yeah, sure, we can work together.
Yeah.
So Anyway,
I don't know. Well, we had kind of like throughout school. It was funny because we would always like in critiques and stuff. We would be like, "Oh, that's cute." Like we were not really supposed to use the word cute, but it was like such a part of like we were always like, "That's cute, that's cute." We want to have like we talked about dreaming about like having a cute shop or like let's
Cute
not get a
things.
job. Let's just
make cute stuff.
Yeah. And yeah, maybe it wasn't like encouraged.
Yeah, that's true.
But I felt like when I shared the news of like quitting my job and like sharing this dream, no one outwardly
Was like, she's crazy.
yeah, they were like, should you do that? Everyone's like, cool. Everyone was like supportive.
Yeah.
I would definitely think we got a little bit of, I don't know if any, starting a business with your best friend is like not really a thing people encourage you to do because I feel like a lot of times it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And I think we just really believed, and because we had this experience working side by side, we like knew
That we could figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, that was it.
elaborate. But that. Okay.
All right, I'm nervous.
Woo, I'm also really nervous. Okay. Well, it's funny because the theme is vibrant, and it's, when they first told us the theme, I was like, I immediately thought color, like, you know.
Yeah.
But I know it's way beyond that. So I wanted to ask a little bit more what vibrancy means to you, and what does vibrancy look like in your work or like in our shop, in our business, and then in your personal life.
Wow, I love it. It's so deep. I think it's funny because I think we've always just done everything so intuitively, you know, like people are like, oh, like you're supposed to really think about your brand and like build your guidelines and like what's your brand
business
voice.
plan.
Yeah, and we've just been like, well, I don't know, it's just like whatever we want it to be because it's just us. And it definitely has like changed and grown throughout the years. In my slide, if you could see it, you would see like, you know, baby pictures of us and like old pictures of our shop. But I think in work, I think something that's really cool from the get-go, Brittney and Sean were living in Covington when we opened our store. So they were just like on a walk when they saw the storefront. And we were like, let's just go look at it.
I think I texted you a picture like, should we just look?
Yeah, like let's just get inspired. Like, yeah. But I feel like as soon as we moved in, I felt very like welcomed into like, I feel like Covington is like a very vibrant and creative community. And we were like immediately welcomed. There was 2 design studios across the street. So it was just like a little street of like, I don't know, creative people. And it also felt very,
everyone believed in us.
yeah, and it felt very like
Except your
scrappy
dad.
and except my dad. Yeah, he's like
He's like, when are you gonna get a real
yeah,
job?
for like 4 years. I'm like, you haven't seen like my store? Like I'm like paying myself. I don't know what you mean. But I don't know, I just felt like it was cool to just like be welcomed into this community. I felt very, I don't know. We're very happy like being in Covington, and we both live in Covington now, and so I feel like in my work, like I see vibrancy as like the community, like people we interact with, yeah, and just like being a part of our neighborhood. I think it can be like hard to find, like, you know, like you're like, oh, I need to have some like higher purpose, and it's like, well, I just have a store that sells stationery, so it's like, what's my higher purpose? Like, it's not. Sometimes you can be like, well, that's not that important, but like it is. Like it's a small business, like we're a part of our community, we get to interact with everyone, we get to support other like small businesses and makers by like purchasing their products and like getting their name out there. So yeah, I think in work, that's like kind of what I see as vibrancy. In my life, I think I'm just like a very positive person. I think it comes from my mom. My mom is like also very vibrant. That's a perfect word for my mom. But yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I just always like in any situation can find the good. And I think that was why I was a great canoe instructor, because like it would often be horrible.
Yeah.
You know, like it would be like, we'd be like paddling for a long time. People would be tired, hungry, it'd be raining, hot, there's mosquitoes. And I'd be like, this is so fun.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, no, it's not.
That was definitely like a thing. Well, even in your wedding speech, I remember like Suzy can like find the good in anyone and anything.
Yeah.
And that's like just such a skill that I think you bring I don't have that skill all the time.
Yeah, but that's okay.
And so, well, yeah, it's a
We're
good
a balance. We're a good balance to each other.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I forgot that I put my phone away, but I forgot that I had to ask you another question.
Also, I'm gonna set a timer so we could talk all day.
We'll be here for 3
We're just
hours.
gonna set a little timer, so we'll talk a little bit more, and then we can open up to questions.
Okay, this is good. This is kind of like a follow-up question in a way.
Okay.
My question is, in what ways do you think like our friendship has added like a unique like energy and vibrancy to our business, like to Handsy?
Okay. Oh my gosh.
I know, it's pretty intense.
Well, I guess I can just talk a little bit. So business is not all like sunshine and rainbows. We're actually having a pretty tough week. We're closing one of our locations. We're closing our Norwood location. It opened a year ago. It hasn't worked out. It's basically breaking even, and we're gonna shut it down and we're gonna move on. We are like the queens of pivot. And I think one thing that we've been experiencing since we opened this Norwood location is, money is tight. So we are constantly splitting up. So she'll be in Norwood and I'll be in Covington, or we'll switch to keep payroll low. And this past year has been it hasn't been that fun.
Yeah.
Because for a long time, we got to work together each day. And honestly, if you're gonna like work your ass off, own a small business, make like $0, working with your best friend is like a big perk. It's like a big benefit. And when you lose that, it's just like, this is not fun. Like, why are we doing this? And so it really sucks to close a location. And I don't see it as a failure. It's a thing that didn't work out that we tried, and now we're just gonna change directions. But I'm like so looking forward to working side by side again. It's different, we Slack or we Zoom, but it's not the same as like being together. We like have a very quick, we're like always on the same page. I don't know how, but we just like working together is so efficient in person. Like I am a ruminator, and I'll spend a lot of time like, but if she's there, I can just be like, what do you think? Like she just like helps me snap out of that. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, but I think,
does.
Yeah. But like physically being together.
That's what adds the vibrancy.
Yeah, I really think so. All
right, well, we're coming back to it. We went away, but we're coming back.
Coming back together.
Okay.
So, okay. Let's see if I have a question that relates to that. Okay. Well, how do you stay positive during a business failure or a pivot? Because we're not going to call it a failure. I guess I just wanted to talk a little bit more about like how you've been dealing with like the big change of like, leading up to announcing the closure. There was like a lot of thinking and number crunching and stress and then we made the decision. We were both kind of on the same page, like let's shut it down. Yeah. We were both in agreement, but just like, how do you stay positive? Like, what does that look like for you, I guess? Or do you not stay, Yeah.
Oh, I always stay positive. I think it's interesting. I think while I can stay positive, I am very like analytical. Like I'm the one who's like crunching the numbers and like running our sales projections.
She's like, I ran projections, and this is this, and then if we add this, this is this. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you need math, it turns out. Yeah. That's what I've learned. I tell people that. I'm like, you're gonna want to know.
Need math.
You're gonna need a little basic math. But yeah, I don't know. I've gotten like, it's interesting because I'm like, oh, if I ever had a second career, like maybe I would be an accountant.
Hey, that was another one of my questions.
Oh, well, there you go. I answered it. But I don't know. I just really like, it's been interesting learning that side of the business because when you go into it, you don't think that that's going to be like part of it. You're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to
buy art.
I'm going to sell it. It'll be great. But there's a lot of, business stuff that like you could, if you were a negative person, view as not fun. But for me, I'm like, accounting, how exciting. And I get like super jazzed when I like do sales projections and then they're right. Cause I'm like, wow, look at me.
She's like, I projected that.
I'm like, I learned something or something. Yeah. Like, it's like maybe after 8 years.
At the end of each month, she's like, so we reached our goal.
Yeah, I'm like, we did it. So yeah, I don't know. I think that is like a helpful tool, and like it's almost like removing yourself from it. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, I did the thing. I did the numbers. Mm-hmm. So just seeing that, like, it was going to be fine. And then also like looking back, because we've done this before, open a location and close it. And I was like thinking about that year. We had like 1 year. We've been like constantly moving since we started. We were like in a storefront, and then we opened another business called Gumdrop, which we recently merged into Handsy. But we're just always like coming up with new ideas. And in like a constant state of change, or like doing something new, which I think is fun. It keeps like work exciting. But there was like one solid year where we like were just here in the John R. Green building, and it was like just Handsy. And I was like looking back at that year, and it was like, it was fun. It felt successful. I don't remember being like very stressed at all. And I was like, that's probably a good sign.
Yeah.
That like that one, and like I know we will get excited about a new opportunity. But yeah, I think that that's kind of how I've been thinking about it, is just like, it's gonna be great. It has always worked out. And like, even if it didn't, like it'd be fine.
We kind of have a pattern of like, try something new. Okay, reel it in. Try something new. Reel it in.
Yeah.
Like you can tell, we get enthusiastic about stuff, and we're like, let's do it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, I think that answered my question.
Okay.
But, I mean, I guess so you just like kind of see it. You just don't really see you don't dwell on it.
I like kind of like, I almost like remove myself from it, or I don't see it as like a reflection on me.
Yeah.
I'm just like, well, I'm trying my best. Like we put our whole heart into our shop. Like we always say, like we can't pay, like for our employees, we're like, we can't pay you enough to like love this place.
Like $1 million, you still couldn't like love it as much as we do.
And like that's why we're gonna be, we both have a design background, so we're very like, it better be clean, it better be straightened, it better be right. Like
part of the brand.
Yeah. So I don't know, but yeah, I mean, we love our shop, so I think that that's why it's like easy to just like move on and keep pushing forward.
Well, like yesterday we went to Norwood and we started packing. And I was like, it was sad, our shop's like kind of half empty. We're like preparing for our closing sale that starts today. And I feel like I've been trying to like follow your lead. Like it is a good thing. And I am like excited to be less stressed.
Yeah.
But I'm also trying to like let myself be a little sad. Like,
I think it's okay to be a little sad.
And it's crazy because just 1 year ago we were like so hyped opening, like we were painting, we were building shit, we were like opening this store, and now it's like, oh, it didn't work out.
Yeah, but I don't know. I kind of feel like I can just redirect that energy. Like I bought a can of paint.
Yeah, now
I'm like, let's paint something yellow in Covington, because I think we like love our yellow counter. I'm like, we'll just bring what we love like here. Like now we can focus our like fun.
Yeah, like channeling like what are we gonna miss? Like how can we bring that into our
And like it's
here?
like a fresh start almost.
Yeah.
It's like pretending we're opening a new shop here, even though it's already open.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And like having the capacity
to do it.
Because when we have two shop, you're spread thin, and payroll is so tight. We just have never been able to afford to like have people working while we do business stuff like off site. Like it's never like that.
Yeah.
So I think having one location and having a little bit more free time will be exciting to be able to do some of these projects that we've dreamed of but haven't come to fruition.
Yeah, and I've been telling Brittney I'm excited to like, I don't know, maybe just settle into Covington a little more. Like in our past space on Pike Street, we like experimented with doing workshops, and like we would have more events. So we had like more space to do that, and we just haven't really had like the capacity to host things like that. So I'm excited to kind of get more involved in that way. I'm like, maybe we should start a craft fair like in Main Strasse. Like, I have all these new ideas that I'm like, how can we like make our space like better and bring people in more.
I love this. So this is like a personal thing, but like setting my goals for this year, like I was doing like a lot of like health and personal goals, but like one of my goals for this year is relationships. And I feel like it's so fun to like feel like that's like literally coinciding with business. Like that's my personal goal, and then now it's like a business goal. So it's like the year of like building community for me. So I feel like that's kind of exciting.
I kind of feel the same way.
Wow, it's so cute.
I know.
Oh my
I love it. Wow, it's like we're on the same page or something. All right.
I love that. Okay.
Well, it's 9:22. Do you want me
I've got 1 more minute on my timer.
Okay.
Also, I was wondering, do you guys even know what our business is?
We have a shop.
We've just been talking.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we could just like tell a little bit about like the evolution of Handsy.
Okay.
So if you don't know, I left my job and then I started making greeting cards and art prints and selling them at City Fleet. And I was like reading some gossip column on the internet, and I saw it was like Justin Bieber gets handsy with Kendall Jenner. And I had been like making these word maps trying to think of a business name, and I was like, I like that word. I put a Z in it, and then I like put it on the word map, and I was like, is that too? And she was like, no, I like it. And that is literally how the business was named, so you know. But you know, I was like hand paintings, you know, handsy, like that's where it came from.
Yeah.
But it's fun because it's like not a real word with the Z in there, so it's good for SEO.
Yeah.
But so I started doing craft fairs, and then a couple months later, she came back. We got a little studio in Brighton, in Cincinnati. And
I
we were
had a
working
picture
together.
of our studio. It was really cute.
It had no
They didn't
lights,
have lights.
and it had
No heat. Yeah, no heat.
But it was fine.
We had a lamp, like you could see the lamp in the background. It had like 5 light bulbs.
Oh, yeah.
That was like our light.
But, okay, so I'm gonna try to be quick.
Yeah.
So we're like doing like little branding projects and stationery and city fleas and stuff. And then my husband and I walk by this little storefront and we're like, let's just look and kind of start dreaming. Well, we look at it and we're like, let's sign the lease. Like the same day, we're like, let's just friggin' do it.
Yeah.
And Covington is such a great place because it was the only place we could afford to like do that on a complete whim.
Yeah.
And so that was really exciting. We opened our, it was like the same month I got married. It was a crazy month. It was 2016. So we opened our shop. It was like a little shop in the front and then our desks were in the back, which was like our studio. Shop and studio, handy shop and studio.
That's right.
And so we started as a stationery shop, like notebooks and cards and like little planters and stuff. And over the years, you can't make a living on $5 greeting cards.
We learned that, yeah.
So we started adding just like more accessories. We started adding clothing. We just really like over the years like built this like robust.
Well, we were like thinking like, what do we like to, like when we go to a shop.
Creative people, like clothing is such a way to express yourself, accessories, stuff like that. And so we tried to be, strategic about it somewhat. And then I had a kid sometime in there, and then we opened next door, we opened a baby shop. We're like Hansy Jr. basically.
Yeah.
So baby and toddler. And then we moved a couple times, we opened a location, we closed a location. But now we're here. Both of the shops are merged now, so it's all Hansy, but it's like women's, gifts, accessories, stationery. There's also baby toddler, clothing and gifts. Toys.
My daughter thinks that we have a store selling stuffies, which we do have stuffies, but
She thinks that's all
it.
you sell.
That's all we do, yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I will say there was a point where we kind of had to make the decision, like we used graphic design as a way to fund opening our shop. And there was a point that we were like, we hate graphic design, right? Like, we like client work. We were like, it just takes everything out of you. It's like a lot of work.
There was, there was some times where it wasn't like that, and that's how it is. Like, you have your dream client, you know, and you like design something, and then they love it, and then you love it, and then
amazing.
It's synchronous. It's just like comes all together, and then they make a million stickers and put it everywhere. That's like the ideal scenario, and that just doesn't happen very often. It was like more
we kind of had to make a decision because like there's only 2 of us, so we were like, we really want to build out this shop and curate this space and have this amazing like experience, but like we couldn't do both, and we decided like we're not gonna have any money, but let's stop doing design work and focus fully on the shop. So that we took like a big pay cut. Yeah. And we've never made as much money since. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. But there was a point there we kind of had to make a decision to let that go. I think graphic design plays a huge role in our business because it's just the 2 of us. We have to design build our brand. Actually, Sean, is the designer, so he does a lot.
That's true.
But like designing our emails and our social media.
Our website,
We have our own line of greeting cards, and so those skills have come into play, and it's something we could never afford to outsource, so it's nice to have.
Yeah, even just like making tags for our products.
Yeah,
and
like clothing tags for our boutique. And
yeah, we definitely like use our
skills.
Our design skills.
So it's funny that we're not working like in the field that we thought and paid so much money for. But it definitely applies. I think it's contributed to our success big time.
I feel like it gave us the confidence that we needed.
To like show up legit too, you know? Like show up and like when things are well presented and designed well and nice quality, you can be taken seriously. Yeah. So, okay. That's our story. Sorry, I feel like I just blabbed a lot, but yeah. Does anybody have any questions? It's okay if you don't. Yeah?
So, did you like, when you were a kid, did you feel like you wanted to open up like a big store? What did you want to be when you were?
We did talk about this earlier. Do you remember when you were a kid and you like love like pretend grocery store and stuff? I feel like everyone loves that. I don't know if I dreamed of opening a store, but I always dreamed of being like an artist. I was always like in art class and doing art projects, and I was always like a curator or a like rearranging my room, like designing like my ideal bedroom, which is like space making is a huge part of what we do, like making the space. Like when people walk in the door and they're like, oh, it's cute in here. I'm like,
yes, I did it.
Like that is the best feeling. So I think I don't know if I ever was like, I want to own a boutique, but I think I definitely dreamed of something creative and like beautiful like this.
I must be like a little more go with the flow. When I was really little, I wanted to be a storm chaser. So, you know, I still kind of do. I'm like, that sounds awesome. I don't know, maybe that's just part of my personality, but I think I could just be happy doing anything. Like,
yeah, you're like, oh yeah, I can do that.
I kind of like put my whole heart into whatever I'm doing. Which has worked out. Thanks for inviting me to be your business partner, because I love it. But so I wanted to be a storm chaser, and I also was like creative, artsy. Like,
I mean, you went to art college.
Yeah, I was always in art school, but I didn't like. I was like a dumb teenager. I don't know. Like maybe people weren't pressuring me in the right way, but I like didn't think about college. I like remember like applying to college really late and like barely applying to any. I went to SCAD for my freshman year, and the only reason I even applied was because like I knew someone who was like, I want to go to SCAD, and I was like, tell me more. Maybe I should want to go there. Like I don't know. I just wasn't really thinking about it. And then my high school offered like a graphic design class. It was after school, so you had to like stay after school. But I had taken like every art class, and my friend like kind of bullied me into it. I was like, that sounds stupid, you know. I was like, I like more like making stuff with my hands, probably like you, like painting and drawing, and but I took the graphic design class, and I was like, oh well, I mean, it was okay. Like you could have a job in that. Yeah, so that's literally like why, you know, I wasn't like really like.
I feel like that's a thing. Like parents are like, well, I know you like art, but you need to get a job someday, so go for graphic design.
Yeah, and then that was my process. So maybe it wasn't the best, but that was how I ended up.
Hey, yeah.
like,
you know, like, where do we get the stuff?
Yeah. You know, like we didn't, so
we
like
have no retail experience, by the way.
In the beginning, I was like literally just like cold emailing people, like just, oh, I really like this brand. I'm just gonna email them and like figure out like how do we get their stuff in our store. And like, you know, since then now we've like gone to some trade shows, like where you would like gone to buying markets. So yeah, we've definitely like learned things over the years. And I think we've also like leaned on our community. Like we became friends with like some other shop owners, and we're like, where do you, like where do you buy this? Or like, yeah.
We reached out to our friend Anna, who owns the Native One, and she's been a clothing store from the very start. We were really close with her because, did she work at Framery?
She worked at Framery, yeah.
Okay, so we met her through business, and we were like, we really want to start carrying clothes, like, can you help us? And she was like, absolutely, like, she was all on board. It wasn't competitive at all. And so we've made a lot of like business friends that way, and I think having that attitude, my thought, and we agree on this, is like, if there's more stores, people want to go shopping.
Yeah.
It's like it's not competition. Like, people want to go to a little shopping district and go to the shops. If you're just one shop in the middle of nowhere with nothing else around, then it's not that fun.
Yeah.
So we just always view like the more the better.
Yeah.
You asked, so I have a little business on the side. I make earrings. That started because I had my daughter. I think I was just needed the money. I was really poor. And I started making earrings and selling them. And it's great because then I sell them at the shop. I don't have the time to do that. It's a thing I really enjoy. It's one of those things where it's like, I wish this could just be a hobby, but I had to monetize it. And so now it's not as fun. But I still have to do it, so I don't have a great answer for that. I make earrings when I can.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like you don't take it too seriously.
Yeah, I definitely don't. I do some wholesale orders, and I do some markets, and I used to take it a lot more seriously, but now that I have kids, I just have different priorities. It's like, I'd rather just be a little more poor and have more time with my kids. Well, you know, it's like by the time your kids go to bed, you're so tired. And so I was like going upstairs in my studio, and like it's dark and trying to work in the dark. It was just like too much, and I was feeling really burnt out. So.
One thing I'll also say, like at the beginning of our business, like it was just us, like we would literally meet at the coffee shop, and we would make these like crazy lists of like stuff to do, because we were just like filling our time. You know, like we didn't really have anything to, like no one was telling us what to do.
Like hustle culture, like we loved it, like at that time. And it was fine because we were really young, excited, we were like working hard, we were meeting people. And like now I have 2 kids, she has 1 kid, we're married, life is different. We just have different priorities, and we do not hustle at all anymore.
And I feel like our focus in business is different. Like we were like making stuff and designing stuff and like designing new cards. Like we probably haven't designed a new card in like 2 years.
Yeah.
Just because like, you know, we're so busy like doing the other things, checking other things off our list. I think it's like a creative outlet is what I think kind of about your, because like, yes, it's a creative business and there's a lot of creativity that goes into it and curating and whatever, but it's like physically making something. Like we would like hand paint our cards. Like I think you probably miss that physicality.
Yeah, I mean, I like making earrings. I hate selling them. And I mean, I still feel the same way about our shop. I love buying stuff. I love curating the space. But then you have to get on social media and like be like, buy my stuff, come to my store. It's like the worst part of the job. But it's just part of the job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did that answer your question?
Okay. Anyone else?
How did you handle maternity leave at your own business? Was that a challenge or?
I mean, I think it's lucky that we have each other.
Yeah.
Like, I think, well, Brittney brought her daughter Basil to the shop like for a while.
Well, we didn't know what it was. Yeah. Okay. So when I had my first daughter, I took 3 weeks off. And then I just brought her to work. And it was horrible, but like we couldn't afford daycare. And it was just kind of what I had to do at the time. I can't believe I took 3 weeks off work. I had a C-section.
Yeah, that is crazy.
But that was just, when you don't have a kid and you're like, here's what I'm gonna do when I have my first kid. And then I was like, oh shit. With my second, I took 6 weeks off. And it was COVID, so it was different. But yeah, I mean, we have each other. That's the thing. It's like, I took time off and she handled stuff, and then she had a kid and I handled stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
That's how we handle it.
I know, yeah. I mean, we still got paid. We pay ourselves we're like equal owners, so our pay is equal no matter what. And we do have like a short-term, do we have a short-term disability insurance? So like if something were to happen, in the future,
Yeah.
we would, because like long term, obviously we couldn't work without each other.
Yeah.
But we've made it
We
work.
have to sell our business.
We've literally somehow made it work.
Yeah.
It's not ideal.
Yeah.
I mean, 6 weeks isn't enough, 3 weeks isn't enough, 8 weeks isn't enough.
Right.
But I think
it's like an understanding, like I know like if I'm gone, how much like stress and pressure that puts on Brittney. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Try our best.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best
Yeah,
answer.
that's not a great answer. It's just one of those things that like is a big problem
Everywhere.
across the board, and it's
Yeah.
a bigger problem for small businesses.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think because we've had each other, my husband's job was flexible, like being able to work from home, and like my second was born during COVID, so we had like some family that was available, and you just make it work. It sucks. I don't know. That's my answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I hope that workshops are a thing in the future because that sounds
Yes.
really exciting. Second of all, you might have kind of touched on this already, but Hansi was really both of your visions, and Brittney maybe a little bit more like on the design hard stationary beginning of it. But now you work with other designers and partners. Like, how do you find things that are still on brand within your vision when it's not the stuff that you guys create?
We have a word, upbeat. That's
Yeah.
like what we're always thinking when we're like looking
That's like
at
our one brand vision word.
like looking at product lines. Like I think we have this certain feeling that we're like trying to capture, or I don't know. Yeah, it's not like we've like defined our customer. I mean, it's definitely like a lot of like
We
what
have
we're-
defined our customer.
But not like specific. You know how some people are like, my customer Pam, she's 31. Like we have not done that.
No.
But yeah,
Pam doesn't shop at Hansi.
I don't know why I thought of that name. But yeah, I mean, I think we like think about like who we are and what we're interested in. You know, like we're creative professionals. Like we use the things in our store to like be inspired. Like I've always been inspired by stationery, and like I'm like the person like if I'm feeling like I can't get anything done, I just go buy a new pen. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I better take some notes. Like I have this pen. Like
Well,
I don't know.
another thing is because our business, what do we say? It's like rooted in best friendship.
Yeah.
And so like being a gift store or like a boutique, like you don't need anything in our store. Like you can live without everything in there. Like it's a special place. Like it's a place for gifts. And we always think about like how can you use a gift to like build or grow a relationship, or like show how you like care for someone, or a gift for yourself. Or so when we're buying, it's like
I think we're like thinking of gift scenarios.
We always think about like relationships, like oh my god, like if like is this too niche, or would you see this and immediately think of your friend?
Yeah.
Or like see this and it would remind you of something. And so we're always kind of thinking through those scenarios.
Yeah.
So it's like about a person and then about that person's like other relationships that helps us like make decisions.
Yeah,
I don't know if that made sense. And then also like we don't buy stuff that we don't like.
There's also that.
So you know what I mean? It's like each of us probably are like, oh, I like that. Even if maybe we wouldn't wear it or use it.
Yeah.
Like
It
we
is-
still have to remember, it's very personal for us, but
Yeah.
you do have to remember like other people.
We do try to keep other people in mind. Like we're like, oh, like
We do want to sell things.
yeah, I'm like, oh, it's not necessarily like for me, but I could see how like people
Or
would
like
like
it's very
it.
in style right
Or
now.
it
And like
would
maybe
bring-
it doesn't fit my body shape, but it's like gonna fit somebody else's and they're gonna feel good in it. I think
Yeah.
that is one hard
Or it
thing
has
too.
like a cool pattern and it's inspiring in some way, even if like I'm gonna just wear black, but that's not gonna be
Hey,
like
it's got a red pocket. It's vibrant.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it is funny because I feel like we both personally have like a very different like outward expression of our
I was
style.
gonna say I felt very pressured to wear like something
and you're like-
vibrant today, and I couldn't. I just like couldn't because I had to wear something that I like felt comfortable in because I was so nervous. Not that I'm not like vibrant in like my little
Yeah.
accessory, but
Yeah.
still I did feel
I didn't feel that same pressure.
good for you.
Yeah, well,
Did that answer your question? Okay, awesome. Yeah.
You talked about stationery inspiring you, or you pen.
yeah.
Is there anything else that you look for inspiration when you need to be inspired? Like, is there one thing? Is there a podcast or?
That is a great question. I think I'm like we would joke like I'm the outdoor cat. She's the indoor cat. So like I definitely find inspiration in like being in nature, being outside, hiking, camping, like adventuring. I feel like that's what like really fills my cup and makes me feel like inspired.
I'm definitely more like interiors, paint colors, paint palettes, textures. I love like street style.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like not an outdoor.
Well, as far as like
Outdoor cat.
as far as like inspiring media, I love watching like home renovation. I renovated my house, but I love like seeing like tiny house videos, like where people are being like extra creative. Like I don't even have a tiny house, but I'm so interested.
So like they're like inspired by their creativity.
Yeah,
and, like a whole different.
Yeah, like I feel like that inspires me. Maybe it's like a space making inspiration.
I will say I've been watching a lot of Flea Market Flip. Have you guys seen that show? They make like the ugliest stuff, but it's very inspiring to see like, oh, like all they did was this, and this, and they transformed it. It like gives you inspiration to be like, I could do that. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah, and I think like always having new projects and ideas for our business, like, and we're always like trying to not necessarily like grow. Like we always been like, yeah, we're not like trying to make like a franchise. Like we're not trying to be like millionaires. We're just trying to like.
We would be open to it.
Yeah, but we like at the end of the day, we're just trying to like support our families and like be an active part in our community, and like that's like the end goal for success. So just always figuring out like different ways to like
be
reach
more
that goal.
efficient, like use our space in different ways. And, yeah. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, like I want to keep doing what we're doing as long as I can like help take care of my family. And if it gets to that's the thing. It's like if it gets to the point where it's not sustainable, where we can't like pay ourselves a living-ish wage, then it's like we'd have to make a tough decision. But so far we keep pivoting and staying in business. So.
Yeah, but I mean, I listen to podcasts, but I don't know that it's like necessarily like anything directly related.
You're not like, I need to get inspired, but like you do things in your life that bring you inspiration.
Yeah, well, and I also feel like there is like maybe like when we first started business, first started working, you like get into that, you're like, I have to read all these like self-help books.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like it can be kind of like it's almost not inspiring.
You lose your self-trust.
Yeah.
When you are like looking for, when you start doing too much self-help or reading too many books, I feel like you can lose your sense of like, you actually might already know what to do.
Yeah.
And if you can put a little more trust in your gut.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like also like part of being authentic. Like if you follow what you know, instead of being influenced by what is like being posted and what's cool and what's trending, which of course, like we own a boutique, we have to like follow some trends.
Yeah.
But I think knowing that you like know,
you
might know what to do already.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did that make sense? Okay. Yeah.
When you think about the journey you've been on together, is there a moment of like exhale of like we've done it, or this feels special, or like...
That was one of my questions that I didn't answer.
Oh my gosh,
So I love that you brought it forward. I don't know.
There's like no finish line.
It's funny when like looking back, like when I made our slide that you're not seeing, like when you look in reverse, it is like, wow. But it's hard.
You forget. You lose sight of like everything you've done, and like sitting here talking, like, oh,
yeah,
we really killed it.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. It's just like I feel like we're always looking forward.
Because the work never ends, too.
Yeah.
You know, like because you're the owners, it's like you finish one thing, and it's just another thing pops up on the list. It's never. But yeah, I don't take enough time to be like, oh yeah, like that was the shit.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like we did used to do, like we would always like celebrate our birthday. Like we used to do better about that, but now we're like, oh, we forgot about our business's birthday. Like, so maybe we need to go back to.
Maybe in our next year, like after closing the Norwood shop and having like a little more capacity, celebrating those like milestones, because it is a big deal.
Yeah, but yeah. Exhale? I don't know. We're not exhale people.
Yeah.
Since you're both designers and you said it yourself that you're like type A, you're going to be control freaks.
Yeah.
What do you look for? It sounds like you have employees and have to lean on other people. So what do you look for in the folks that you employ?
Friendly.
Yeah.
I think we care more. I mean, yes, obviously we care about like the aesthetic of our shop, but like also working at our shop is not rocket science. It's like you scan stuff and you take credit cards and put stuff in a bag. But yeah, like the magic of our store is like those interactions that you have. So yeah, I think we just look for people who are like friendly. A lot of creative people have worked in our store, like a lot of like college students who are like in school for art, and I think that's awesome. Like
They're excited about sharing like the products and the experience with our customers, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Like right now we have a employee who like also has her own business and is like trying to start her own thing. And I think that's cool. So yeah, friendly.
Reliable.
Yeah, reliable. Yeah.
It's like one of those struggles being like really small and having a really small payroll. It's like you want to give everybody hours, so you just have a really small staff, but as soon as somebody needs time off, and then you're like screwed. And so it's been like really hard to juggle.
Yeah.
But we've been really lucky that like most of our employees are like in college, and it's kind of like a fun extra job for them. It seems like they enjoy it.
Yeah.
So.
But we've had like in the past we've had like a couple design co-ops from DAP. We've hired a designer. At one point, like when we were doing graphic design, like we had a person working like with us. So I don't know, we've had like different stages.
People always email us and ask if we're hiring for like social media and stuff, and we're like, no, it's just a sales associate position.
Yeah.
Sometimes our staff does like Instagram. They do Instagram stories on the weekends. I don't know if you can tell the difference.
I can. But we just like
that's like one of those things that we've had to like let go of. It's like if we aren't gonna work on the weekends, you have to let your staff post the Instagram stories. They might not look that good, but you just have to let go.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
like a boundary we've had to.
We just deal with it. Yeah, there's some things you just have to let go when you're a control freak. Because there were times when we would both like trade off who would post the Instagram story in the morning, like on the weekend, off work hours. I think we've like really tried to have a good like work-life balance. I mean, not that like obviously we like
That was one of my
last night I was making a slide at 12:30 at night. So like, is that work-life balance? I don't know, but yeah, for the most part, we like try to keep work out of our life, and I don't know.
There's an occasional time that we'll have to like go in on a weekend or something. For the most part, like if I have plans with my family or something like, and someone calls off.
What's close?
It sucks like to lose that money, but it's so important to us to like, I just don't want to look back and think like, oh, I bailed on this thing because I had to go work. We often say we are just a shop.
It's just a
Like
shop.
sometimes someone will call and they're like, I'm sick, I'm so sorry, like a relative died, or I'm like, we are just a shop.
Yeah,
like this is not, like of course it's important, but like it's never more important than you like taking care of what you need to do. Like please don't like fake call off sick, but like, we're just a shop.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to, so. Cool.
Question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I hear a lot of creative podcasts, and I hear a lot of creative entrepreneurs talk about how the business side of things gets so overwhelming that they miss out on like why they got into that business in the first place, which was the love for creating.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if you all feel that way. And then
Yes.
my second question is, have you thought about what like a 10-year dream vision for Hansi looks like?
No. Yes and no. Yes, it's completely a bummer when you like spend your whole day like paying sales tax and like emailing people and
something that I've done. I'm like really interested in like efficiency and like workflow and like productivity, not in like a hustle sense, but just like
you kind of like batch your stuff.
Yeah, so I'm a batch worker. So like I only email on Tuesday. So like that frees up.
People email us multiple times, like just bumping this up. Did you see my email? And it's like, we sure did, and we will respond on Tuesday.
Yeah, I don't know. So like,
because it's like you can like email like all day long, you know. And so I think that's really smart of her to work that. I don't work that way.
Yeah, that just helps me. Then I can know like, I can give myself a whole day to like be creative about marketing, and nothing else is going to distract me. And then I'm doing a better job at that task. Obviously, we get distracted all the time because we're just like working in our shop, so people come in and whatever. But that's like kind of how I try to deal with that, just to like, I feel like when you're in charge, then you're in charge. So you just have to like.
We're just like, that's
time.
our rule. Email once a week.
Yeah, and like I mean,
it's like never important. It's like we answer important emails right away, but non-urgent emails, they're not urgent. They can wait.
But I feel like there's been times too where we're like, you know what we should do? We'll just have a week where we like work on creative projects or whatever. We try to like plan that.
We'll like go to my house. We'll like staff the shop and go to my house and like paint.
Get coffee and
Right, and like do creative stuff.
It doesn't happen all the time. Like there is a lot of like, you know, I have like a literal day and time for finance tasks. So like there are times where I'm not like doing those creative things. But I don't know, maybe it's just like a me problem because I like doing all that stupid stuff. I don't know, it's like a part of it. So it kind of like brings me joy.
Yeah, we don't have a 10-year plan.
No.
Every time we sign a lease, I'm like, okay, 5-year lease, my kid will be 10. Like, that's what I think about. I just am kind of like, what's my life going to be like when this lease ends? But we just kind of, we don't have like a long-term vision right now. I think for me, I'm like, I just want to like stay in business.
I personally can't like really think that far ahead. Like usually if I'm setting goals or like thinking about my life, I cap it at a year. Like I'm like, I can only think
because
like
I think we've experienced so much change and we're always open. Like we're open.
Yeah.
If someone like came to us tomorrow and had an idea, even though we were just like, we're going to chill for a while, we would be like,
maybe, like what do you think?
So I think that openness like might be good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, still be in business if we want to be. That's the 10-year plan.
That's our 10-year plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're at time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.